Discover what the Bible reveals about the Battle of Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38. Hello everyone. Today we are going to explore one of the most intriguing prophecies in the Bible, the Battle of Gog and Magog, described in the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39. Ezekiel, one of the great prophets of the Old Testament, presents us with a detailed and intriguing vision of the Battle of Gog and Magog. In this prophetic account, we are transported to an apocalyptic scenario where nations gather against Israel. The detailed description of the events that precede and follow this cosmic war makes us reflect on the role of Israel in the context of human history and prepares us for the final developments of this epic conflict. Magog, a descendant of Noah, is described in the scriptures as a fearless and warlike people who settled in the northernmost regions of Israel, possibly occupying territories in Eastern Europe and Central Asia. The reputation of Magog's descendants as skilled fighters spread throughout history, making them feared for their military tactics and ferocity in battle. The mention of Magog as an integral part of the alliance led by Gog leads us to reflect on the motivations behind this apocalyptic conflict and the crucial role that these nations of the far north will play in the eschatological scenario described by Ezekiel. The geographical and historical identification of Magog invites us to explore the connections between biblical prophecy and contemporary events, shedding light on the geopolitical challenges that will mark the end of time. The figure of Gog in the prophecy of Ezekiel 38 is shrouded in mystery and symbolism. He is described as a powerful leader who emerges from the far north with the purpose of leading a coalition of nations against Israel. The exact identity of Gog has been the subject of debate among biblical scholars, with different interpretations pointing to historical and contemporary figures. Some associate Gog with a Middle Eastern military power, while others see him as a symbol of the Antichrist or an evil spiritual entity. Regardless of the interpretation, Gog's presence as the central leader in this prophecy underscores the gravity and magnitude of the conflict to come. His influence over the allied nations and his determination to attack Israel reveal dark aspects of the eschatological events described by Ezekiel, inviting us to reflect on the spiritual and geopolitical dimensions of this impending battle. Historically, Flavius Josephus, a renowned Jewish historian of the 1st century, identified the land of Magog as the region of ancient Scythia, located north of the Black Sea. This region would correspond in part to the territory occupied by Russia today. The association of Magog with Russia is reinforced by geographical and historical evidence that points to a connection between the descendants of Magog and the Slavic peoples who inhabited these lands. Furthermore, the reputation of the warriors from Scythia as excellent horsemen and skilled fighters corroborates the biblical description of the descendants of Magog as a warlike and fearless people. The identification of Russia as an integral part of the alliance led by Gog invites us to reflect on the geopolitical and spiritual implications of this prophetic conflict described by Ezekiel, shedding light on the central role that this nation will play in the final events of human history. The prophecy of Ezekiel 38 describes an alliance of powerful nations that unite against Israel. Notable among these nations are Meshech, Tubal, Persia is Iran, Ethiopia, Put is Libya, Gomer and Togarmah. Each of these nations plays a crucial role in the apocalyptic scenario described by the prophet, bringing with them their own motivations and geopolitical interests. Meshech and Tubal, descendants of Japheth, are identified as allies of Gog and Magog, contributing their military forces to the coalition against Israel. Persia, Iran, known for its rich and complex history, emerges as one of the main actors in this eschatological conflict, bringing with it centuries of regional rivalries and tensions. Ethiopia and Libya, represent the African nations involved in this alliance against Israel, demonstrating the global scope of the conflict prophesied by Ezekiel. Gomer and Togarmah, associated with regions of Eastern Europe and Asia Minor, complete the picture of the nations that will rise up against God's chosen people. The unity of these countries under the leadership of Gog reveals the magnitude and complexity of the events that will culminate in the battle of epic proportions in the last days. The identification of Gomer as Germany and Togarmah as Armenia in the prophecy of Ezekiel 38 adds an intriguing layer to the scenario of the Battle of Gog and Magog. Germany, an economic and political powerhouse in Europe, will play a significant role in the alliance against Israel, bringing with it its historical and cultural influence to this apocalyptic conflict. The connection between Gomer and Germany dates back to the origins of the Germanic peoples and their prominent presence in European history. On the other hand, Armenia, the land of Togarmah, is known for its rich cultural and religious heritage and is a strategic point on the geopolitical chessboard of the Middle East. The participation of these nations in the coalition led by Gog highlights the diversity and complexity of the actors involved in this prophetic confrontation, revealing the multiple facets of international relations that will culminate in the final confrontation between good and evil. The Battle of Gog and Magog, described in the book of Ezekiel 38, is an event of epic proportions that will occur during the Tribulation period, one of the most intense and challenging moments in the history of humanity. In this apocalyptic scenario, the forces of evil will unite under the leadership of Gog to challenge the people of God. The alliance formed by powerful and hostile nations will turn against Israel in a desperate attempt to annihilate the divine presence on earth. The Battle of Gog and Magog will not only be a military confrontation, but also a spiritual one, representing the struggle between the forces of light and darkness. The events that precede this cosmic war signal the fulfillment of biblical prophecies and the beginning of the final outcome of the history of humanity. Prepare to delve into the depths of this apocalyptic narrative and discover the hidden secrets behind the conflict that will change the destiny of the world. The prophecy of Ezekiel 38 reveals that the attack by Gog and his allied nations against Israel will occur at a time of apparent tranquility for the nation. Israel will be enjoying a period of relative peace and security, leading to a weakening of its defenses and vigilance. This scenario of false security will be exploited by Gog as a strategic opportunity to launch his surprise attack against Israel. The complacency and overconfidence of the Israelite people will be shaken by the sudden invasion of enemy forces, resulting in a conflict that will test the faith, courage, and resolve of God's chosen people. The betrayal of the momentary peace will be a somber reminder of the volatile realities of the world in which we live, highlighting the importance of spiritual vigilance and preparation for the challenges that will arise in the last days. The prophecy of Ezekiel 38 describes an impressive scenario in which God himself intervenes to defeat Gog and his allied nations. The mountains of Israel will be the stage for this divine battle, where the mighty hand of the Lord will be manifested in all its splendor and majesty. The victory that God will grant to the people of Israel will not be merely a military conquest, but rather a demonstration of his sovereign power over all the nations of the earth. The divine triumph over the forces of evil will echo throughout the world, witnessed by every nation and language, revealing the glory and justice of the Most High. At this decisive moment, Israel will recognize not only its physical liberation, but also its spiritual redemption, turning to the true Messiah, who will save them in the midst of the final battle. As the Battle of Gog and Magog unfolds, ancient prophecies come to life before the eyes of the world. The cry of the nations rises to the heavens, while the people of Israel face the imminent threat of destruction. At this critical moment, divine intervention is present in a majestic and undeniable way. God himself descends in power and glory upon the mountains of Israel, manifesting his justice and sovereignty before all the peoples of the earth. The forces of evil are defeated, and the name of the Lord is exalted in the midst of the final battle. Israel, witnessing the redemptive power of her God, recognizes not only her physical deliverance, but also her spiritual redemption. Every nation and language will bow before the King of Kings, proclaiming the definitive victory of good over evil. At this transcendent moment, Israel will embrace her true Messiah, finding peace and salvation in the midst of chaos and desolation. The divine promise is fully fulfilled, restoring not only the Holy Land of Israel, but also the hearts of those who believe in the transforming power of the Word of God. If you're interested in biblical prophecies and want to know more about the signs of the end times, be sure to watch the next videos. I hope you enjoyed this analysis of the Battle of Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38. Don't forget to leave your comments and share this content with friends. See you in the next video.